I'm 51. I just turned 51 on the 11th of July this year. My history is very complex, I would say. I've moved house about 50 times. I've been married a few times. I've done the whole 9 to 5 work the wage, have the mortgage. I've not done that. I've been homeless maybe a dozen times. Over that, probably more, but it was interesting recently, I didn't think about myself as a homeless person, but what happens and because when I'm doing that, I'm single, I'm self-employed with chronic illness, rheumatoid arthritis, so I'm not able to rent and about it.
Has homelessness brought anything to your creative spell?
I think just being more grateful for just having a bed. You know, when my friend offered me this place to stay, she's like, "Oh, this is your room and this is your bed," and I just remember just putting my head down on the pillow that night, just thinking, "Oh my God, this is just the best thing ever." You know, so that's, if I'm ever feeling, you know, a bit sorry for myself or this, I haven't achieved this or that, I'm down in a house and I've been on properties and lost money or whatever, I just go back to those times and just, you know, back to the basics, I guess. I've never gone hungry, you know. I've been close, but never, you know, had to starve or anything like some people do. So I just try and see it as a learning experience. Look at it from other people's point of view.
Have you fashioned some creativity or garnished any creativity from that experience or from those experiences?
I think it's just made me more resilient and back to basics, and in an art sense, especially my process now, which involves the fire and the elements, you know, it's like earth, air, fire, water. So that's me going back to the origins of everything, really. Like, people were cooking with fire, you know, tens of thousands of years ago. They were building things with stones. They were making art on cave walls, you know, using ochres and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, water, obviously, air. So about a year ago, I kind of made a conscious choice to force myself to find my process. So what I did was I went back over all my trade history, all the tools, all the mixes, concrete, all this stuff I'd mixed and done, and I thought about origins and elements. So that's where I came up with the process I'm using, which involves, you know, petrol, fire, you know, what happens when things get wet or they're on the road, and it's about as base as I could get.
Is the randomness of the art generation attractive?
Absolutely. So with my wet plate collodion photography, the chemistry, so that was in 1851, that was first done using silver nitrate and liquefied gun cotton, ether, all sorts of chemistry. But even the best wet plate collodion photographers in the world will say, both my mentors, some days you just got to pack up and not do it, because some days it just doesn't work. And the very first image which got me onto the wet plate photography was an image of Philip Seymour Hoffman, which was part of the exhibition at the Sundance Film Festival. And there was an American photographer called Victoria Will, a woman who teamed up with the Historical Photograph Society and did these wet plate portraits of the actors. And this one of Philip Seymour Hoffman was just had lines across it. His hair was all messy. And I saw that one image and I just thought, fuck, what is this? Like, I'd never heard of wet plate. I wasn't a photographer. Still don't class myself as a photographer. And it turned out that that image was the last image that was taken of him before he passed away. Whether it was suicide or he overdosed or whatever, but that kind of fitted into the mental health stuff down the track, which I didn't know. Anyway, I looked at the image and I'm like, I've got to do this. I've got to find out what it is. So I got on the phone. It took me about 3 days to call around, and I found out the name of the process, and then I found out about a lady in Trentham called Ellie, who has a business called Gold Street Studios, and she was offering this one-on-one workshop. So I went and did that for 2 hours and met her, and that was 10 years ago. And I remember she kept saying to me, "You sure you haven't done this before?" She said, "You've got to do it, because the very first thing is to pour the liquid collodion on the plate." And she's telling me these ways to hold it, and I said, "No, I might hold it this way." And she's like, "All right." And I poured the plate perfect, and she's like, "That's perfect." And I'm like, "Well, okay, let's do some more." So 2 hours with her, and then I bought some gear, and then, you know, I had no idea what I was doing. I was using tradie spotlights for my lighting, which I know now is dirty light, you know, and I was trying all these different things, and just thousands of plates, you know, in the bin. Money, silver nitrate damage, damn it, you know, like, it's taken me 10 years to really just get an understanding of the basics of it. And it's so temperamental, but that's what I love about it, because sometimes it does things that are wrong or bad, and it's shit, but other times it does things that are wrong and bad, and it's fucking beautiful. And that ties into when I do my artwork and my paintings, when I'm lighting them on fire and spreading fuel and doing all that, I know to a degree what it's going to do. I know the parameters of it. I know how long it takes to burn out. But there's also things that happen that I have no control over. So I love the fact that it can't be replicated, and it stands out, which I think nowadays, especially with all the tech and now with AI and all that, it's so easy to create pretty much whatever you can think of. But for me, it's not about what I can think of. It's like an artist said, I don't forget who the artist was, it's not how you paint, it's how you paint it. You know, it could be a shoe. It doesn't matter what it is, it's how you do it. You know, anyone can paint a shoe, but how do you paint a shoe? What's your process? And equally hard nowadays to stand out from the crowd, you know, like there's all this interior decorators doing it, you know, the abstract, you know, whatever, and put it on the wall next to a couch and in a magazine, and, you know, everyone loves it. But I'm certainly not about blending in with the decor. But in saying that, black and white goes with anything.